need to talk. I just do what I do. I'm not a talker like that. I'm not a talker. I handle my business. That's what I need to know.
Know my boundaries. I want to fight Anthony Joshua. Exclusive.
When they drew, he would have fought Jake Paul. It was lined up basically. A lot of people get mad when people say he's the face of boxing. These highly rated boxers want to fight Jake.
Anthony Joshua did not hold back when responding to Jake Paul's recent challenge during a live interview. The former heavyweight champion made it abundantly clear that his attention remains firmly on his professional career and legacy, not on sideshow antics. "I don't engage in trash talk," Joshua stated with calm authority. At the end of the day, mental games don't win fights, skill, discipline, and experience do. His measured response showcased not only his composure but also his refusal to be dragged into Paul's world of hype-driven callouts. Joshua's message was unmistakable: he's focused on real boxing, building a lasting legacy, and not entertaining publicity stunts for quick headlines.
Good luck to him, man. Do your thing. I'm gonna do mine. He's gonna do his. What more can I say? I don't really need to talk. I just do what I do. I'm not a talker like that. I'm not a talker. I handle my business. That's what I need to know. You tell me in America what type of vim do I need to bring? I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this and that and that and this. Trust me, I'm from the UK. We stand on our business. I'm standing on my business. I'm gonna handle mine. I've never seen someone win a fight via mental games. Like, the way you win a fight is by punching someone more times or punching someone harder than the other person. So it's here nor there.
Jake Paul has taken his bravado to new heights by publicly calling out Anthony Joshua, boldly declaring his intention to fight and beat the former heavyweight champion. Despite being fully aware of the massive skill gap, Paul remains steadfast in his self-belief, insisting that he can step into the ring with Joshua and come out victorious. His challenge instantly caught the attention of fans and boxing analysts, sparking widespread debate. Many question whether Paul genuinely understands the magnitude of the task he's attempting to take on, or whether this is simply his latest calculated move to dominate headlines and stir the pot within the boxing community.
Know my boundaries. I want to fight Anthony Joshua. Exclusive. Because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know I will
just got knocked out, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. All this shit, but I want to fight you.
Jake Paul's trash talk has been relentless in his pursuit to rattle Anthony Joshua. Unlike some of his previous opponents, Joshua has been met with outright disrespect from Paul, who has repeatedly mocked him by claiming he has no chin and no skills. Such taunts aimed at a former unified heavyweight champion who has gone toe-to-toe with some of the sport's most elite fighters seem to serve one purpose: to provoke a reaction and amplify the hype. Whether Paul's strategy is clever marketing or dangerous overreach is still up for debate, but what's certain is that he's risking a lot by targeting a fighter of Joshua's stature.
I want to fight Anthony Joshua. Exclusive. Because I know that I will.
I'm so sorry for my English, but I have to. See, Jake Paul does lots of good things. He has a camp for kids where he, I guess, gives training and coaching and gloves and environment for kids in Puerto Rico. He helped lots of boxers to get the bigger purse than they deserve. He has done some good things. And you are kind of trying to be on his side, but then he says something like that. Like, you almost are on his side, and then he says, I want to fight Anthony Joshua and Canelo at the same night or whatever. Jake, fighting Anthony Joshua and Canelo is not fighting Tyron Woodley or 60 years old Mike Tyson with Alzheimer's. Anthony Joshua is able to literally kill you. No doubt. If his mission is to kill you on the ring, he will kill you. You lost against Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury won against you. What Anthony Joshua? What Canelo, my friend? Canelo, you would need the liver replacement after Canelo fight. I promise you. I don't know. So stop doing that shit. Do the good things you are doing, and we will be on your side. Just stop saying crazy shit like this.
Skepticism has poured in from fans and experts following Jake Paul's call-out of Anthony Joshua. Much of the criticism is rooted in Paul's previous loss to Tommy Fury, a fighter who, despite his solid boxing background, operates far below the level of Anthony Joshua. Fans are questioning Paul's credibility, asking how he could possibly hope to challenge a former heavyweight champion when he couldn't even outbox Fury. Many argue that Paul's latest call-out isn't about testing his skills, it's about chasing viral moments and clout rather than pursuing a legitimate path in the sport. While Paul's unwavering confidence keeps the conversation buzzing, most fans remain unconvinced that he's ready for such a colossal leap in competition.
You have got to be taking the mick. Jake Paul has called out Anthony Joshua and claims, "I will fucking beat Anthony Joshua's ass." You know what? I want this to happen, just so Anthony Joshua could just absolutely decimate this man right here. So first he fights Tommy Fury, a legitimate professional boxer, and he loses. Then he fights an OAP and Mike Tyson and beats him. Obviously, he's nearly 60 years old. Then he goes to try and fight Canelo, which fell through, thankfully. Then he tried to fight Tank Davis, which again fell through. And now he wants to fight Anthony Joshua, a legit world-level heavyweight boxer. Anthony Joshua is someone that I've always looked up to and probably one of my favourite boxers to this day and age. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind Jake Paul here and there, but there's just things he does in the sport that I don't agree with at all. And fighting Anthony Joshua, listen, I'm all here for it, just to see him get knocked clean out. The fact that he thinks he can compete with these high-level boxers, even though he lost to Tommy Fury, is just laughable. But how long does it take for Anthony Joshua to knock Jake Paul out? I'm saying 5 seconds.
When you look at Anthony Joshua's career, it becomes clear just how steep the mountain Jake Paul would have to climb truly is. Joshua has already proven himself against the sports elite, including 2 high-stakes showdowns with Alexander Usyk, one of the most technically brilliant fighters in modern boxing. Although Joshua fell short against Usyk, those fights solidified his place among the top heavyweights and underscored the chasm between world-class champions and social media fighters like Paul. In contrast, Paul's resume is littered with bouts against aging MMA stars and fellow influencers, making his challenge to Joshua seem more like a fantasy than a feasible contest. The sheer difference in power, technique, and championship-level experience suggests Paul would be stepping into a fight he is woefully unprepared for.
The belts were finally out of my possession, which I was expecting to win. It just kind of tore me apart, and that's raw emotion live on your screen. Obviously, looking back, could I have dealt with things better? Yeah, of course, but at the time that wasn't the priority, it was just outpour of emotion.
There were so many athletes we're seeing across gymnastics, cricket, rugby and football that have taken time out of their sport to deal with their mental health before coming back in. Did you at any point in that period think, I need to take an extended break away from boxing before coming back in?
It wasn't the fact I needed to take a break. You know what it was? I actually watched a lot of fighters, they've taken time out of the game for those reasons as well. And I think, okay, if they've done it, I should be doing it. But I got to look at myself as an individual. And what it is, I feel like if I take time out, I'm letting everyone catch up. And I want to be ahead.
While many in the boxing community dismiss YouTube fighters as a passing fad, Anthony Joshua has taken a refreshingly open-minded stance. Instead of ridiculing influencer boxing, he acknowledges its positive impact on the sport. Influencer boxing has drawn in new fans, Joshua noted, pointing out that fighters like Jake Paul have successfully attracted younger audiences who might never have been interested in traditional boxing. Joshua credits this crossover phenomenon with expanding boxing's reach, bringing in fresh energy and exposing the sport to new demographics. Rather than seeing it as a threat, he views it as proof that boxing can evolve while still respecting its core traditions.
What do you think of this trend at the moment of YouTubers entering the world of boxing? Because Jake Paul's about to fight Mike Tyson, isn't he?
Yes.
What do you think about this trend?
I personally think it's really good. I think that the boxing hardcores, like boxing fanatics, they don't like it because it's like, why are they disrespecting our sport? There's an Olympic system, that you have to go through, and once you've qualified there, then you go through to the professional ranks. Whereas someone with a profile can just come out of nowhere and fight one of the best guys. Let's say we divided this crowd in half, and you've got half of the people that are hardcore boxing fans and half of the people that love a certain person that's into YouTube.
Like a YouTuber, yeah.
But that person brings all of these people into boxing, which benefits everyone else that's involved.
Some of them might stay not just for that match, they might get into the sport.
And it's a tough game, so everyone viewing helps. So I think it's really good for people that need like some exposure.
What do you make of this YouTube
10 out of 10.
boxing scene?
I'm telling you, it's good for boxing because it's showing people you can fight someone that is well-known, credible, can fight, marketable, without a championship, and have that same effect early on in your career, and you can still get all the rewards anyway. So I think that they're showing guys, oh, hang on a minute, there's so much potential in boxing regardless of championships, and I think it's good because now people start taking more risks early on. These guys coming into the game are changing the landscape for the better, showcasing that if you have a business mind on, marketable, creative, content-driven, obviously talented, you can generate big business and do.
Anthony Joshua's response to Jake Paul's callouts wasn't just a dismissal, it was a direct challenge. Known for never backing down, Joshua reportedly instructed his promoter Eddie Hearn to publicly announce his readiness to fight anyone, at any time, including Paul. This statement served two clear purposes. First, to assert Joshua's identity as a fearless competitor who doesn't cherry-pick his opponents, and second, to shut down any narrative suggesting he might avoid facing Paul. Joshua managed to keep his response professional, but he also made it crystal clear, if Jake Paul genuinely wants this fight, Joshua is more than willing to step into the ring and prove the difference between hype and true heavyweight power.
Well, here, I want to ask you a question because the world of media went mental this morning. Anthony Joshua against Jake Paul. Please put this to bed or light the fire. What's going on?
I mean, this is the first time I've spoken about the fight. To be honest, like, I look at it and I think Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua. I mean, look, for me, we'd do it for the banter. Do you know what I mean? Like, AJ would fight Jake Paul. He'd fight anyone, to be honest with you. And if Jake Paul wants to step up and fight Anthony Joshua, he'll need the relevant insurance. But you know, the only thing that was disappointing was he says 2026. I mean, that's like calling someone out. That's like me saying, you know, LA Olympics for the surfing 2028, I'll be there. Do you know what I mean? Do it in 2025 if you really want to do it. You're not going to get really much better at this stage, but I don't know, those two have spoken. I spoke to AJ this morning, he went, listen, of course, I'd fight. I mean, you know, if the question was asked to Jai, would you fight Jake Paul? And there was...
I wouldn't fight him, I'd bash him.
but he might do it. He might just do it for, you know, just for doing it, for the sake of it. But obviously we know. Listen, Jake creates massive events, right? You know that's going to create like unbelievable viewership, and no disrespect to Jake Paul, it's a straightforward night's work. But you know, I like this calling out of Canelo and all this. AJ it's another challenge up there. But you know, if they're game, why not?
What did he say, AJ, to you about it?
He said, why not? I said, what do you want me to say when I'm asked about it? And he said, tell everyone I'll fight anyone, anytime.
Jake Paul's decision to call out Anthony Joshua left the boxing world in shock. After challenging various big names across multiple sports, Paul's move to target a two-time unified heavyweight champion and Olympic gold medalist marked his most audacious challenge yet. While Paul has built his boxing brand by taking on high-profile figures, aiming for someone of Joshua's caliber is a leap of unprecedented magnitude. Boxing purists find it almost surreal that a fighter with just a handful of professional bouts, none of them against true boxers in their prime, would so boldly target a man who has competed at the pinnacle of the sport. Paul's challenge reinforces his disruptor image, but it also raises the stakes to a level he's never faced before. Whether he's making history or setting himself up for a humbling defeat remains to be seen.
Jake Paul has just called Anthony Joshua out. Yes, Anthony Joshua, AJ, the two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. This brother called this man out. Oh my God. Now, in a recent clip on Jake Paul's podcast, I think, he basically said that he will beat Anthony Joshua's ass and he has no skill, no chin, and he's too stiff for him. He also apologized to Anthony saying, Anthony, I'm sorry, we're friends, but I know I can beat your ass. This guy is tapped in the head. Then again, he almost got a fight with Tank. If Tank beat Lamont Roach when they drew, he would have fought Jake Paul. It was lined up basically. A lot of people get mad when people say he's the face of boxing. These highly rated boxers want to fight Jake Paul. So I don't know what to say, honestly. But one thing for sure, AJ will never fight. AJ's too classy for that. Way too classy. He respects the sport of boxing too much to fight this guy. Absolute plonker. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and make sure you follow for the most up-to-date and sharpest boxing news and content on TikTok.
Jake Paul isn't limiting his ambitions to Anthony Joshua. In fact, he's casting an even wider net with his latest high-profile targets. Recently, Paul set his sights on MMA legend Conor McGregor, boldly claiming that the former UFC champion is no longer in his prime and that Paul's own boxing skills have reached a level where he could comfortably beat him. This calculated move fits perfectly into Paul's well-established pattern. He consistently calls out massive names from combat sports, whether they're from boxing or MMA, who are still globally famous but may no longer be at their physical peak. By doing so, Paul carefully maintains his relevance, generates maximum headlines, and strategically avoids younger, hungrier fighters who might expose his skill gaps. Whether these blockbuster callouts lead to real fights seems almost secondary. For Paul, the attention and media frenzy they spark appear to be the primary objective.
McGregor's done.
I think he has to come back and fight, but he needs to win.
Will he fight you?
I don't think he will. I think my skill level is outgrowing his in boxing, and I have the height advantage. He can't beat me, and I think he probably knows that. And time, he's only getting older, and I'm only getting better.
Adding another ambitious name to his ever-growing hit list, Jake Paul has now expressed interest in facing Gervonta Tank Davis, one of the most explosive and respected fighters in the sport today. Davis, fresh off his latest victory over Lamont Roach, has already signaled his openness to major challenges, but the prospect of facing Paul is complicated by a serious obstacle: weight. Davis fights at lightweight, tipping the scales at 135 pounds, while Paul usually competes as a cruiserweight, hovering around 200 pounds. For the fight to happen, Paul would need to undergo an extreme weight cut, an intense process that could not only affect his performance but potentially derail future plans for heavier bouts, such as his highly anticipated potential clash with Anthony Joshua in 2026. Despite the glaring size disparity, Paul's willingness to pursue this fight further cements his strategy of chasing big names, regardless of the logistical realities involved.
Tank Davis versus Jake Paul exhibition match was going to take place after the Lamont Roach fight, until Tank drew with Roach, leading to a rematch. Now, I'm going to say the unpopular opinion here, but the size difference would have been way too much. I mean, even if Tank brought Jake down to 190 or 200 pounds, he would have still been way too big. I mean, no matter how good a lightweight is, they would have almost no chance against a cruiserweight or heavyweight ranked top 200 in his division. And I'm sure people are going to bring up Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul, but Logan is just not a good boxer relative to Jake. You know, Jake's been training for a couple years, he's had over 10 pro fights, and Mayweather was also junior middleweight in this fight, not in lightweight like Tank. But that being said, I'm glad Tank and Jake isn't happening. You know, it would have been a fun spectacle, but I'm not the biggest fan of the exhibition stuff. And instead now Tank and Roach will be rematching in June. You know, the first fight did a little over 260,000 pay-per-view buys, which isn't bad in this market. Roach absolutely deserves a second fight, so I do think the rematch will do far more numbers. And as for Jake, I want to see him fight big-name boxers around his weight class. You know, the Tommy Fury rematch, for example. He's undefeated. The first fight did a little over 800,000 pay-per-view buys. He's around the same age range, so that's the fight I want to see, not the exhibitions. But let me know what you guys think.
In one of his most provocative statements yet, Jake Paul has boldly declared himself as the only real attraction left in boxing. According to Paul, the sport's traditional champions no longer captivate audiences the way he does, and he claims that his presence alone keeps fans invested in modern boxing. While even his critics reluctantly admit that Paul has successfully brought millions of new, younger fans to the sport, many boxing veterans view this claim as nothing more than overblown self-promotion. Paul's resume, comprising just 10 professional fights, mostly against non-traditional opponents, pales in comparison to the rigorous paths taken by seasoned champions. Boxing purists have dismissed his comments as a stunt, pointing out that real legends prove themselves against the toughest competition in the ring, not just by dominating social media narratives.
Game. That's not glazing, bro. That's the problem. Is you're frail, bro. I told
Here's the thing.
I told Patrick Van Davey yesterday, I am a fan of you. I'm wrong with being a fan. I'm a fan of this.
It's okay to be a fan of people.
This is his favorite fighter. He said he'll whoop his ass. Yes, absolutely. He's a dog. You are a maggot, and you need to go.
I mean, this is. I see, but you know what I will say is, you said I'm what's wrong with the world because I was sitting here chirping a little bit.
No, because you just read comments and you make it your identity.
Hold on.
You read comments and you make it your identity.
And
you don't even have your own opinion.
I just got so far in your head
with just a couple comments to the point where you got heated. You started all of a sudden you started like saying like I would never fight you. Like that was weird, bro. And it's because I
started that and he overheard it because I was
I don't know.
Just giving him his flowers, bro. He's an awesome dude.
You're like the internet loser person that reads the. You probably think my fights are rigged. Do you think my fights are rigged? Like the rest of the world? Do you think I'm on steroids?
No, I'm not gonna say nothing. I don't think. Look, I never thought your fights were rigged. I was at the Mike Tyson fight.
Yeah, see, you're imbecile.
I'm kidding. It wasn't rigged. I know it wasn't rigged.
Jake Paul has fine-tuned a controversial blueprint for building his combat sports empire. Mix headline-grabbing trash talk with lucrative callouts aimed at legendary fighters. His formula remains unchanged even after suffering his first professional loss to Tommy Fury. Paul continues to project himself as boxing's main attraction through sheer charisma and relentless self-promotion. His fans praise him for injecting fresh excitement and big-money opportunities into a sport that's often bogged down by bureaucracy. But his critics argue that Paul's reputation is inflated, driven more by theatrics than genuine in-ring accomplishments. The core question continues to divide the boxing world: is Jake Paul a much-needed disruptor who's reshaping the sport, or simply a hype machine capitalizing on spectacle over substance? Regardless of where people land, one fact remains: Jake Paul keeps the conversation alive, and the world keeps watching.
Felt in the fight.
I would say Tommy Fury. It's the shots you don't see, so Tommy was a little tricky. Mike's punches I could see coming. He was strong, but he didn't land anything clean. So I honestly didn't feel Mike Tyson's full power, but that's good. I mean, you don't want to. So
I feel like he lost confidence second round. Like he stopped giving his all.
He just started.
Jake Paul's bold pursuit of a fight with pound-for-pound king Canelo Alvarez may have been his most ambitious call-out yet, but it ultimately collapsed, and Paul was quick to assign blame. He publicly accused Saudi power broker Turki Al-Sheikh of deliberately blocking the fight, claiming that key promotional decisions kept Canelo out of his reach. Paul doubled down on social media, repeatedly accusing Canelo of avoiding the challenge. However, the reality was more complex. Canelo chose to prioritize his alignment with Al-Sheikh's multi-fight Saudi plans, which offered massive financial incentives and legacy-defining opportunities. While Paul framed the breakdown as a ducking narrative, insiders saw it as the natural result of boxing's political landscape, where top fighters follow the biggest paydays and legacy fights, not influencer-driven spectacles. This failed pursuit exposed the ceiling of Paul's strategy when dealing with the sport's most powerful decision-makers.
Basically, everything was ready to go. 1 yard line, signed LOI. Basically, Turkey hates me. Absolutely hates me. We heard through the back channels for multiple weeks because we've been negotiating since the Monday after the Tyson fight. So we were negotiating for 2 months straight. That's a lot of time. And the whole entire time, Turkey was doing everything in his power to strip the fight, try to not make it happen, calling Canelo, calling Eddie Reynoso, basically saying, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? To the point where he had to threaten Canelo to pull his 3-fight deal. You're not fighting Crawford. I'm not paying you any of this money. And he's basically paying him over $100 million for this random fight in May. And Canelo at some point is like, okay.
Following the collapse of his dream fight with Canelo Alvarez, questions are now surfacing about whether Jake Paul's aggressive campaign to fight Anthony Joshua could meet the same roadblocks. Boxing's intricate web of promoters, exclusive contracts, and political alliances could pose a far greater challenge than anything Paul might face inside the ring. Joshua remains deeply tied to matchroom boxing and is heavily involved in Saudi Arabia's expanding control over the heavyweight division, leaving little room for unsanctioned fights that don't align with their broader financial goals. Industry experts caution that, while social media buzz can fuel hype, it rarely overcomes the cold realities of elite-level boxing business. As history has repeatedly shown, even the most talked-about superfights can quickly dissolve if the promotional landscape refuses to cooperate, regardless of how loud the YouTube star shouts.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Canelo Alvarez and Jake Paul is officially off. Here, I'll get out of the way so you can see the off. But this actually makes sense to me because the owner of Ring Magazine, Turki Al-Sheikh, he posted a very cryptic photo on Instagram about an hour ago, and the caption reads, "Don't mess with the lion. 4 fights for Canelo with Riyadh season, the deal is done. A lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinion of a sheep. Fear the lion, not the jungle. And look who the first comment is. Canelo, let's go, brother. This is one of the few times Canelo has publicly been on good terms with Turki Al-Sheikh. But boy, from the Terrence fight being off to now the Jake Paul fight being off, this has been a wild couple of last few days for the face of boxing. Wait, which one of these two is the face of boxing? I'm just kidding, it's Jake Paul, obviously. Just kidding, it's Canelo! But since it looks like Canelo is now under contract with Turki Al-Sheikh, the chances of Canelo ever fighting Jake Paul have lowered significantly. Because no offense to Jake Paul, from what I've heard, Turki Al-Sheikh doesn't want to associate himself with the kind of boxing that Jake Paul does. Any more updates that happen with this, I'll be sure to do my best to fill you in, as always.
That's all for now. Keep an eye out for more breaking stories and let us know what you think in the comments below. Until next time, stay tuned.